it's Greg here at PhotoCraic, and I just wanted to do a quick tutorial today on how I shoot and process my images to make really big panoramics for printing in Adobe Camera Raw. So basically what I've done here is I've shot a sequence of 16 images down in Kerry with my Canon 6D with my 24 to 105mm lens with a graduated filter on it just to keep some detail in the sky. I've shot these handheld in portrait mode. Now I had been down in this valley the night before shooting a lunar eclipse, and I'd been up all night, so when I was on the way back out I was pretty tired. I didn't want to pull my tripod out of my bag, so I'd shoot these handheld, but I normally shoot with a tripod. But I did my best to make sure that they're all nice and level, so hopefully it'll work out fine. But I've shot all these images with an overlap of approximately a third in each image. So you'll see as I'm going through them, the images are overlapped by a third, so each element in the final picture will have been in pictures 3 times essentially. Then what that does is it gives the software enough to work with so that I can line up all the elements and create the photo merge, because if you don't do that, if you don't have the elements in by about approximately a third, it might not stitch them together for you, so always make sure you overlap them by a third. Now I'm just going to bring these in, I'm going to select them all and open them up in Camera Raw. Now, and what I've done here is I applied the same settings to all of the images, so as I click through them you'll see the settings here are the exact same. So what I've done there is I have, actually there's a tiny difference. Obviously our auto white balance was on, so I'm just going to create a custom white balance there. So now the same settings are now applied on them all, so all of our adjustments are all the same across all of the pictures. They're going to be the same across them all. So basically I've applied all the adjustments to all of them, but if these were JPEGs the same would work, or if they were TIFF files the same would work, but because they're Camera Raw files, they're a really big file size and there's lots that we can do with them. Now the great thing about this is when I merge them, it's going to have all of these adjustments still applied, so it's going to be the same way that I processed it here. Now I can then work on it the same as if it was any one of these individual raw files. It's just going to be an awful lot bigger. Now you can see this is a 20 megapixel image, and the reason I shoot them portrait is because the longer side of my sensor has nearly 5,500 pixels, whereas the shorter side only has 3,500 pixels. So by shooting in portrait mode, I've got an extra 2,000 pixels in the height of my final panoramic image. Now it doesn't matter what camera you have, if you shoot it in portrait mode, the height of your image is going to have more pixels. So if you're shooting panoramic shots, what I would recommend is always stick it into portrait mode and overlap each image by a third. 2 other things that I'd recommend: set your focus point, so focus on whatever it is you want to focus on. If you want to pick your hyperfocal distance, if you want to focus on an individual element, and lock that in. So that might mean switching your camera from autofocus to manual focus, and keep that same focus point. Otherwise it might pick different elements and that's going to confuse the software and it's going to look really weird in your final image. So the other thing that I would recommend doing is setting your exposure for the element in the picture that that you want to get right. Get your exposure the way that you're happiest and lock that in as well. If you're shooting in manual, which you probably should be doing if you're doing landscapes to get that complete control, you won't have to, but keep your exposure the same across all of the files. Otherwise it's going to be landscape that are darker and brighter, and when it matches up beside each other it's going to look really weird. It won't look great at all. So what I want to do is I want to select all of these, and you can see we have a merged panorama here, but I can't select that now at the moment. But when I select more than one image I will be able to. It's going to bring that up. So when I merge this to panorama, because it was a raw file, it's going to create a raw panoramic. Now we can see it's done a really good job here, and actually it's not too bad because there's a little bit of a bend. That was probably from me when I was shooting my Pano handheld, but realistically it's not too bad. Now if I auto crop this, what you're going to see is it's going to get rid of pixels. If you look up here, it's just cut off the edge of the pixels. It's cut off everything beyond kind of the narrowest point in the image in both height and length. So we've lost pixels. Now we're after putting some effort into trying to get pixels. So instead of doing an auto crop, what I can do is a boundary warp. And if I do my boundary warp, you'll see it's pulling the edge of the image out to me, the boundary of the canvas. So you can see here there's more height, and if I'm printing I want those extra edges. So that's done a really good job. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this, but it's going to take some time. Now it's much quicker than processing it all by hand, which is the way you used to have to do when you were doing this in Photoshop. But because there's 16 raw files in it, it's going to just take me a couple of minutes. So I'm going to just merge these, save them up, and open them up in Camera Raw. And I'm going to show you just how big a file size that we have when we do that. Okay, so that took a couple of moments, but basically we have our completed merged panoramic image here now. So I'm going to open this up in Raw, and you'll see it's done a really good job of it, but the file size is huge. It's now gone from, you know, the most I could have captured with my cameras with 20 megapixel image. This is now nearly 150 megapixels in size. Now, if you wanted to buy a camera with 150 megapixel sensor, you're going to have to pay an awful lot more than the price of a Canon 6D. But realistically, I've traveled places with much smaller cameras. Actually, I traveled to Thailand last year with a Canon 100D and kit 18 to 55mm lens, and I shot huge panoramics there, which were much bigger than this in size. And you know, that was the smallest DSLR in the world at the time, and it's, you know, it's a small APS-C size sensor, but I mean the images that I can print off that for my panoramics are huge. So I mean, you don't have to have the biggest, most expensive camera going to create really big panoramic images that could be printed off huge. This is over 27,000 pixels wide, so this is a huge file. Now you can see it's got all of the same adjustments that I had made to those individual images. It's retained all them, but the thing is, this is a raw image. I can still do whatever I want with it, the same as I do as to any of those individual raw files. And now that I have it in here, I can say to myself, before I decide I'm going to go print, right, I'm going to do a bit of work on it. So maybe I want to apply some particular adjustments. I might want maybe the sky to get to just be a little bit bluer. So make sure I'm on auto mask. I don't want this affecting the landscape, and obviously this is quite bold now at the moment, but I'll reduce it down, and I can go in and I can just keep on kind of playing with some of the adjustments until I'm happy. So I'll just keep working through, and once I'm happy that I've got my final image, I can say, right, no, I'm not going to use any of these adjustments. I'd spend an awful lot more time making sure that it was all exactly the way I wanted it. But once I'm done with that, then I want to save this for printing. What I generally do for months is I'll go into save image, and I will select these as a TIFF file, and what I'll do is I'll put these into Pro Photo mode, which is a much bigger color space than our other options available to us up here, like Adobe RGB and sRGB, and I'll make this a 16-bit file. So this is going to be a Pro Photo 16-bit TIFF file, and obviously we won't name it JPEG, we'll name it TIFF instead, and basically, or we'll give it the file name. But basically, once I save that up, then it's going to produce a huge file, which is going to be great for printing. It's going to be full of color, and it's going to have, you know, it's going to have more color in it than most printers are actually capable of producing, available within its gamma range, depending obviously on the colors that you have in the image. So it's going to produce a really, really it's going to be a huge file. It's going to be great for printing.